Greetings, YouTube shave fans, SuperCurve honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescue by keto fans, and carnivore fans. Bill here. Doing a video where I'm showing how I shape some stones using the Jared plate with its dimensions. This was my first stone that I had done. This is just a few of the stones that I've done, and I want to go through these. This is a Soft Ark, Hard Ark, Catacule, Soft Ark, short. When I say, if you hear me say dimension, I'm talking dimension on the plate. Okay, this being a 6 foot wheel, 24 foot wheel. Okay, so this is short dimension, long dimension, short dimension, long dimension. This is the rock that I called SuperCurve, where I started off. The one you'll see today will follow this particular pattern. This goes a bit deeper back into the bevel, and I have a long dimension. I have a cleaning stone, which you'll see some of that, and for stone maintenance, and it has a counter shape to that. This was an Ayatoshi that I shaped actually both sides because it was so big. Okay, that's long dimension, that's short dimension. Easy to shape. These are, I wanted one of these because they're cheap, they're easy to shape, and you can do them on sandpaper dry, and you don't have to go to this doing one of these on here with 60 grit silicon carbide and wet 60 grit silicon carbide wet dry with added 60 grit silicon carbide powder. It's a lot of work. Even on the Sohiro 20K, it does take a lot of work, but it's a great tool to have. I'll use some of that today. I'm going to show an alternate method for doing things. And here's what you're going to see me do today. I put this one into what I call the SuperCurve. This has a greater curvature than what you find in here. Okay, this is roughly a 4 foot wheel, where this plate develops a 6 foot wheel. And then I developed a lot like that little stone, a curvy counter. Now you can actually see on this one right here that there's almost a little bit of a flat towards the end. It is brutal trying to braid away at this and how much you have to do. And that amount of curvature does give me what I'm after, and it'll give me the opportunity to see what it's like. And if I ever get so motivated again, I can always, dig it out some more. So I hope you enjoy my work today. And I'm going to put some of the stuff that I'm doing into double speed. I usually edit my videos in iMovie. It'll let me go into double speed. And then what I'll do is I'll do a voiceover narration. And if there's stuff that becomes boring and redundant and a little too long to be keeping in, I'll be able to cut that out and hopefully keep my content a bit more brief for y'all. Those of you that are fans of this kind of stuff that tune into my channel, thanks a bunch. Enjoy the video. Okay, here we go. I have the sink bridge and a 140 Atoma plate I got from sharpeningsupplies.com. This is used as a replacement surface. It has an adhesive backing for replacing a worn out diamond surface on your lapping plate or your diamond plate. The sink bridge is carefully with the stops positioned towards the back of the sink furthest away from me. They have a tendency to kind of slide around. The first stone I'm doing is the original SuperCurve stone I did, where I put some pencil marks on it, and I just want to see how much wear I'd gotten on this at this time, and getting a little bit used to it. You can see I'm already starting to wear a little bit on there. You can see that I will lean a little bit forward and a little bit back to kind of shorten the radius, and then I'll make this oval type motion to kind of create some of a cross crown There's a lot of, this is very short to how much time I've actually put in on this already. But these are techniques that you use to do this and wear this down and try and develop. There I am again, leaning forward, leaning back, trying to illustrate how you get a greater curvature in there. And if you want to lower the corners a little bit, you can kind of throw the stone into a little bit of a yaw, and that helps develop a cross crown. I evaluated this work as I did it on the Jared plate, and you can see I got a little bit more curve than it was on the Jared plate. I calculated a 4-foot wheel, whereas that dimension on the plate would have been a 6-foot wheel. And it looks like I'm a bit shy, maybe a little bit on the cross crowning on that. I don't know that I was terribly concerned about that. Now this right here is the Lilly White Washita Fine. This was an unusual find for me. It's a tremendously filthy stone when I got it, and I soaked it in simple green for a couple days and let it soak in water, and then I'm kind of starting to see some stuff. What is going on there? Where I'm abrading away. Apparently, the oil that goes on these stones are oil stones. Apparently, the stuff just soaks in and it goes pretty deep into the stone. I did not expect to see that. As we go along, you'll see how it kind of becomes a helpful guide into seeing what you're abrading away. Here I'm going to, after having rubbed this on the flexible diamond plate, another technique you can use is to put the stone into the stone bridge and to literally take that is an 80 grit diamond plate. I got that from Chef's Knives to Go, and you can literally kind of manually start to hog off some of the material you got to hog off, and you always want to be trying to doing this method, always try to continue to work a curve into it. And this is early. The touching up comes a little bit later, but bulk material remover in there. I'm dressing that little chip that was in that stone when I got it. Always make sure that with these diamond plates on Novaculite that you have some running water. If you do this dry, it really loads up. I initially tried to do it without water, and when the diamond plates are new, you can get wear coming off of there, but they cut best when you have a running source of water there. Initially when I did this, I did not put the stone holders towards the far end away from me on the sink. I regretted they kept seeming to move where there. I kind of had them braced towards the back. This was another plate I initially bought. This is a lapping plate, a replacement lapping plate for Nana Hones. And I thought this, because this is flexible, this would flex in both directions. I thought I could get a better chance of putting this on the Jared plate and getting an elliptical crown surface on there. And as you can see, that SuperCurve right there, with the amount of bowing that you get on that, you're not going to get the deep curve on there using that. It wore out pretty quickly. It was a pretty effective cutter when it was fresh and new. I found better success with the diamond resurface plates from Otoma. This is, I forget which diamond plate that is, but I put that on there. Here's another way you could do that. You can clamp the diamond plate onto your sink bridge. Again, you want to be rocking that away, and you want to be always working that curve. You can see at this point how much my watch timer was 19 minutes. I think I had started at about a half hour late, and you can see how much curve I had put it into that. And now I'm going to go back away from the flat plate and continue to to work that curve in with this this particular diamond plate. And there I am at this point, 34 minutes on the watch. What I'm doing is working a cross crown from left to right, trying to develop some cross crown, because this method is going to give you a simple radius curve, which is okay by the Ancient Grinder's Handbook, but I wanted to work a slight cross crown in there. I've become accustomed to having that from the design of the Jared plate, and here I am working a cross crown. This is a motion that you can use where you kind of rock this around the perimeter and doing a little bit of leaning back and forth. And I think, as you saw right there, I'm pretty close. Here's a straight edge on the curve as to see how much, and I do have a cross crowning, but maybe not quite so much on the ends. Maybe needs a little bit more cross crowning, on that end. So I pulled out the Jared plate. Any of these diamond plates, I think you could stick to this. I did not do that. They seem to, with the adhesive backing counter on there, they seem to cover sheet on there seem to be pretty stable on there. And here I am. I got one of the Z-Lion plates, 60 grit, and this on the Jared plate will give me a more defined shape. I got a little bit of ways to go to clear out to the center, and this is another way to do that. I think the Atoma plate is a little bit faster than this. I'm not sure if it's the soft backing. You gotta watch here. You want to stay with a sink bridge. You want to stay in the middle, okay? Because if you get too far away from the support of that, it could tip up and flip out of there on you. I suppose I could have gotten two of these and clamped the plate. It does work very, very well having that plate clamped in the sink bridge like that. One word of caution: you may have been able to notice that some of the wear of the stone is kind of running into the sink. It's not a concern, being that this is Novaculite for me in the drain, and you can see there's that rocking motion again, where I'm using that to kind of help make sure I'm developing the curvature I want, even a deeper curvature than what's in the plate. But if you do this with synthetic stones, be careful. I did mine separately, and before I was doing the sink bridge, but I did hear people say about washing the residual from synthetic stones, washing that down your drain, that it can, because there is a resin in there, it can have a possibility of gunking up your drain pipes, which I'm not really in favor of. Now here I'm beginning to chamfer the edges a little bit while I have the crowning in effect. I do want to try and chamfer the edges, get away from there, and here I am doing the sideways yaw of the thing to try and lower the corners a little bit and try and create a little bit more cross crowning effect on that stone. So there, comparative to the other stone, I'm really close. Okay, so I'll spend a little bit more time on it. You can put the Atoma plate onto the Jared plate, which is another good way of doing that, of doing this. And if I believe when I did my translucent arc, I did that in the long dimension, and I believe that's how I did that, and that does make some reasonably quick work of removing the bulk of it. But that plate, that metal plate, that Atoma plate, does not bend as easily as the pad does. I do wish that I had that Z-Lion pad when I had done other tools, including my hard arcs and my Suhiro 20K, which is almost as hard, as almost as difficult as a black arc, and that's really close. We're at that point, going back for a repolish on the Z-Lion pad. You can see how at some point in time you do get where you get to the depth of that stone where it begins to go back to the white. There I am, about 1 hour on the watch, on the stopwatch. So that was about an hour and a half. On the Jared plate, this is a good place to dress your stones, Arkansas stones, particularly the hard arcs. That would be the long dimension that on my translucent, and that direction would be of the plate. That would be the short dimension and create the SuperCurve, the deeper curve. Here I'm going to dress the stones. After I go from a diamond plate, the first paper I go is to that. I like that Rhino Wet paper. It's silicon carbide. It's pretty durable. I have coarser grits, but I usually go to that like 120 to begin to knock off some of the perhaps jagginess that may exist in there. It's a little less critical on this because this is for cutting a back bevel, and I think that the deepness of the scratches is not as bad coming off of a diamond plate as it is when you use 60 grit sandpaper in that version and then put a 60 grit silicon carbide on there. That's a pretty abrasive stuff, and having 60 grit silicon carbide rolling around there can cut a really deep scratch compared to a 60 grit abrasive that's bound in there. Here I am again at this particular grit, working on the chamfer on the edges, changing, go from the 120. I go through this progression on the sandpaper, all from the same. I think I got this at the number 2 sand.com, the Rhino Wet. I think there's other places that you can get that stuff from. Look for that spelling. And here I'm just kind of more finishing this stone, and I'm going to take a look at it. And the final abrasive that I ultimately go to is going to be the 400 grit. That's about as fine as I go for these rougher stones. On the finishing of a finishing stone like the Trans Arc or the Black Arc, I ultimately went to a 1500 grit wet dry 3M, which costs a small fortune. So here I am. I put the plate in the other dimension here. I want to recheck my shape on my Suhiro. When you use sandpaper and you have water running on this and using less than a full sheet, always make sure that there's not any pieces of junk underneath your sandpaper. Wipe that clean. I'm doing the typical marking off of the Suhiro 20 grit, Suhiro 20K stone, and the one drawback to having the plate in this dimension with running water is the height of that. With my sink bridge on my sink, it easily kind of pumps that water out to right off the edge onto your counter. So maybe on this one, I might want to hold it back a little bit, but it did not need that much. you could kind of see how in the center that was picked up most of the way, and most of the pencil left was around the perimeter, which is what you would see if you're flattening a stone. But normally what you see is, and there is the SuperCurve keeper stone with part of my design and how I wanted to use that. I used a Nanoa Superstone 400 grit to begin to polish off some of that edge and any roughness that was left behind. But once you've hit the center on a convex stone and hit it good, you are at where you want to be. Okay, and that means you're a little bit more curvy than the plate. And I go through this progression on that stone right there. I go through this progression on the Nanoa Superstone Nagura's 400, 1000, 5000, and then I pretty much will stop there. I'm looking at this, and kind of what I'm looking at is not a polished finish, because that will polish almost like a hard arc will. And I'm looking for a little bit of a haze in the surface there. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to work the smoothness a little bit more into this Lilly White. That was a slurry stone that's a pretty aggressive slurry stone. I think I got that at Sharpening Supplies. I'm not too fond of it for using that on my razors. It seems to be not as good as for razors as some of the other ones. But there I am using the SuperCurve keeper, and I kind of rock that across there. So there I've got the Lilly White, the SuperCurve keeper, and the translucent arc on the long dimension, and that's a good set right there. So I also figured I would make a video of how I made the SuperCurve keeper. That little stone was an idea that Jared gave to me after he saw me shaping arcs in this deep dimension. He said, you should take that flexible plate and you should make a counterstone. Apparently, and I think I've seen the video where Dovo at their honing station, they have use a stone that is shaped in a typical dimension of my arc in the long dimension, but they do shape all of that by hand. And they have right there, I saw, I've seen the picture or whatever, they have a concave stone, and I guess that's part of the tools that they use to keep their stones into shape. I didn't have much luck in working the shape of that stone in the concave. You could see how I was trying to dig out the middle of it with different methods in the diamond plate, and then I was trying to use the nanohone plate. What happened best was the diamond plate, and it really was not even all that aggressive. So I pulled out this new Atoma diamond plate that I bought, because when they're new, they can be pretty aggressive, and then I'm going to put that on the stone, and I'm going to begin to start working that some more. The Z-Lion pad is nice, provides a little bit nicer, less harsh finish than that diamond plate does, and I think I'm moving along. I'm getting the shape I want. I'm not as that is the mold that I'm using for there. That is the SuperCurve, and I'm getting close to where depending upon how and where you rub, you can kind of hit the entirety of the surface of the stone, which is what I'm looking to do. Its curve is roughly between that last one was the arc on the regular Jared plate, short dimension, as is this conical, and I'm good enough on that where I can take this cuticle and I can use that and I can develop a slurry right off of that cuticle, or I can clean that. And that's, I think, going to serve me well for what I want, as well as, and you've already seen how I do that on this Suhiro 20K stone, and use that. And sometimes just abrading that on there is all I'm going to do to remove some of the swarf. That is a collector of stuff right there, and that stone will help clean that out. So thanks for tuning in, and have a great one, y'all. This is Bill.